Welcome to Networking Working, the podcast where real business stories meet meaningful connections. Brought to you by Business Matching UK, the UK's first business matching membership service with a business opportunity guarantee. Whether you're building something new, scaling something established, or just exploring smarter ways to move your business forward, you are in the right place.
Welcome back to Networking Working. In this episode, we're looking into the future of BMUK and how there truly are no limits as to what BMUK can achieve for itself and its members. Welcome back, Paul.
Thank you.
The plan has always been to scale BMUK beyond its original base, but can you share the expansion journey into places like Manchester and Leeds?
One word, tough. I left school more than 50 years ago, and apart from joining the British Army, this challenge has been the toughest. And the reason for that is because people assume it's just another networking group. Also, times are tough, so they don't want to join something else. Somebody's emailed me this morning, said I'm already in 2 or 3 other groups. My finances are committed. I'm really sorry. However, they were recommended to the group by someone who understands that this is different. So I've copied him in and I've just politely said, that's absolutely fine. If there's a place in the future for you, which there won't be, because I know there's other people in that category were waiting for her. And I was being honourable and said, yes, she can have first dabs at it. If she doesn't want it, that's fine. But it's a bit like turning away a ticket for Live Aid or for the Beatles in 1963 and not realising what you're turning away. Now, that's just my humble opinion. We'd established ourselves in 2024 in the Northeast. People said, well, that's not hard because that's where all your friends are. But I've got to say, of the current membership of the Northeast group, from the day of launch, there's at least 50, 60 people who I didn't know and I'd never met before that day. So that doesn't really follow. But what I have got to accept is that I'm based here, so it is easier to meet up with people. The next challenge was Leeds and Manchester. And then just to fast forward a bit, the next challenge after Leeds and Manchester, once it's established and proven there, and by the time you listen to this, it probably is franchising. So starting with the end in mind, if it all goes to plan, we'll end up with 11 main cities with 4 satellite towns around those cities for each franchisee to purchase. So an example geography-wise would be for Manchester, a satellite city or town will be Preston or Chester. From Leeds, it will be Huddersfield or York. So they're nowhere near the main city. But the point being, if you get 11 with 4 satellite towns, that's 55. So that's the end goal. If we get 55 towns with 100 businesses in, operating the same model in the same way, and getting business opportunities, where the group shares responsibility for getting them with the members for the first time in British history, and more importantly, we guarantee it for the first time in British history. That's our great 2 USP differentiators. So you ask the question, we've got the Northeast, that's point number 1. We're going to franchise in all these different cities, which in the middle of 2025, the model's almost ready for the franchise, and we'll certainly have begun it within the next few months, and then it'll carry its own volition. That's the third stage. The second stage is the toughest stage because Phil and I are based in Newcastle, got some contacts in Leeds and Manchester when we begun, but we hadn't got a big marketing budget and we hadn't got people on the ground, which we have now, but we hadn't. And we're looking for 100 in each city. And the competition is all of the other networking groups established in the cities. The toughest part about it is when we franchisee has paid us money, they'll know people in the cities. So we'll support them. So it's easier. There's no franchisees in Leeds and Manchester. They're our companies, they're our cities, and we are keeping them. So we've got a home base to make sure the model works properly outside of the Northeast in big cities that we run and control. because if it doesn't, we can't franchise it. But it is, it has, and it will. So that's why it was such a big ask and a big challenge, especially surrounded by the negativity of the SME marketplace towards everything and just hanging on to what they've got rather than moving forward. That sort of mentality. So to get people to join yet another group, I mean, we've got the advantage, it's only a 6-month membership and there's a guarantee. There's still a lot of initial dubiousness. Is this really different? Will it really work? Or should I just stay with the group I've got? Or in the case of many people, sadly, I'm stopping networking because we haven't got the money to do it anymore. I'll go to the free ones, but the free ones tend to be like a cattle market where you just bump into someone by chance and you can't grow a business by chance. Not in my opinion.
Were there any lessons that you took from that initial journey?
Yeah, that it was scary because Phil does the digital side and Phil will be the first to admit that side of growing Leeds and Manchester into 200 businesses and going out and presenting it to them and meeting them and getting them to come to the tasters and the launch, and then people not come in or they're cancelled or they sent apologies, I'll come to the next one. That was hard. That was hard. That took a lot of drive and energy and personality. The main thing was to get people on Zoom, not to sell them, but to tell them and show them something different. But the biggest tip I would give people is somebody suggested to me, why don't you get a bit of feedback from the members who've joined and why? So our designer, who's wonderful, he turned it into a comment sheet. And the first 2 people on there, one's my mentor and one's our ambassador in Leeds. And both of them are MBE, OBE, and my mentor was, and still is, my mentor. He's 83. He was past president of the North East Chamber, the UK Chamber, and deputy president of Europe, as well as CEO of a famous building society. So for him to be my mentor for 16 years and him to put his name, not really about the group, more so about me, on the sheet. And then our wonderful ambassador, who's known as Mr. Yorkshire, Heath Madeley, who knows everybody, and he's invited lots and lots of people, because when he came to the taster, I knew him already, but I hadn't met him. And he said, if you can do half of what you say this can do, it'll change the culture of networking in this country forever. He had to be a bit careful because he's connected to a lot of other groups. But he said, if you set out with intent, and if you're as genuine as you seem to be, and the fact that a week on Tuesday, his wife's our guest speaker for her heritage-related children's book, the fact that he's there and he's bringing his wife says everything. So really, Leeds and Manchester was a very tough nut to crack. That caused me sleepless nights. Phil and my wife both said, you sure you want to do this? It's going to be a massive challenge. And you've got the North East group to run, and you've got your own digital business to run. And because I haven't got massive admin support, but that's coming, I'm averaging 150 to 200 actionable emails a day on my own. And that's 7 days a week. So it's been tough. We've got past it. Leeds and Manchester established. And those people are great advocates for what we're trying to do. And the urgency is, if you don't hurry up and get your place for your occupation in your city, you will miss out. There's 3 people this week I've had to turn away. I'm really sorry, but your place is gone. But when you open in the next group, well, we're not. We're opening in the next city. Yeah, but how am I going to get in? Well, you're not. Well, is there a queue? Yes. You can go on the waiting list. Obviously, we'd never be arrogant about that. We'd be polite and respectful. But the fact is, they've missed the chance and they know it. But it's not for everybody. Some people don't want to wait in a waiting list. So they've just gone. But they'll watch us grow, and in the back of the mind, they'll be thinking, I should have done that.
This episode of Networking Working is brought to you by Business Matching UK, the UK's first business matching membership service with a business opportunity guarantee. If you're tired of turning up to networking events that lead nowhere, BMUK guarantees to offer something different. Structured, supported, and strategically driven business development, designed to connect the right people in the right way. at the right time. With a blend of face-to-face and online meetings, plus 7 IP and trademark protected mechanisms, BMUK guarantees real business opportunities, and that guarantee is the cornerstone of what makes us different. Stop chasing leads and referrals. Start matching with meaningful opportunities. Register your interest today at www.business-matching.co.uk. Business Matching UK. Matching ambition with opportunity.
What's the longer term vision or goal? Are you aiming for BMUK to be in every city and town in the UK?
Well, there's 97 cities and 119 towns. That's 195 in England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales. So we know the 11 we want to go to straight away. We've got the 4 satellites from them. Depending how long it takes on the journey, then really, I personally will be happy to get to 50 and then hand the reins over and strategize and orchestrate from that point. But to get to 50, which means that's 5,000 SMEs and medium-sized businesses are getting help. It's not really suitable for big business, and we're certainly not suitable for the public sector, in which case we're in a situation where 5,000 happy businesses telling everybody this is a good idea. We only need, or someone needs, to quadruple the size of the 50 to get to the 200. You know the way Aldi and Lidl, both of them are in every town now.
Yes.
Like McDonald's. That's exactly. Because what I do is, I've done this since 2016, but especially the last 2-3 years, I religiously, at least once a month, stand and do my British Army standard ironing on a Sunday with a beer. I might be watching a football match, but I watch the founder, starring Michael Keaton, which is the story of the franchising of McDonald's, at least once a month. And every time I watch it, I get 2 or 3 ideas I've missed. The main one was that in the film it says, you realise, Mr. Kroc, that the value of your business isn't in burgers and chips and Coke. He said, well, where's the value? The land underneath the outlets, because your outlets are always on main junctions in or out of town, so it's prime real estate land. So what we're looking for is the right positioning, and the real estate land is the right cities, the dynamic cities that attract us, that ask us to go there. There's 2 ways that can happen. It's already begun to happen. Some dynamic person who doesn't want to run a group and doesn't want to be a franchisee, but they just want to be part of a group that uses a model like ours. So what they do, they get hold of the occupational list. There's 66 on it currently. There's only 16 of those where there's 2 places, like 2 solicitors, 2 accountants, 2 HR. But very carefully we match them. So it's big and small, big and small, big and small. Somebody who specialises in one sector, somebody who specialises in another. But that's only 16 out of 66. So you add 16 onto 66, you get 82. So there's still room for 18 others we haven't thought of or we don't know about. In fact, one of them has come to us. It's an international wine importer from York. He's a dynamic character. His name's Alan. Talks almost as much as me. He's brought lots of people to the group. He's respected all over Yorkshire. So he's the 67th one. But the point being, someone gets hold of that list, for example, Norwich, and they don't want to buy a franchise and they don't want to run a group. They just want to be in a group where something happens and there's some business opportunities. In fact, it's guaranteed. So they get the list and they send it to everyone they know and they say, do you want this slot? Do you want this place? And they build the group for us. And then they contact me and say, look, I've got 30 for Norwich. So our marketing team looks for a franchisee for Norwich. So that's one way they can do it. The other way is the franchisee themselves. So we know what the price is and we know what the royalty is, and it's all set up and organised. And the company that's guiding us have done this since 1991. They're a family-run firm and they know what they're doing. They help us find the right franchisee for Norwich. And that person, if we get this right, and I think it won't be long before it does, I'm hoping the group will be full before we launch. At least 75 members on the day of launch. And the significance to that is the franchisee will look at that and think, well, I've tripled my money. I've got a triple return on investment, and we haven't even started. Now, I know there's work to do and training and setting up and everything, but like the franchise company have taught me, that's the name of the company from Darlington, the franchise company, little plug for them because they're wonderful. What they've said is that if you get to the situation where the people get the money back before the start, the word will spread that it's not a scam, it's not dodgy, it's not this, that, and the other. And you've got lists of people in different cities who want to join. It'll gather a speed of its own. So at this juncture, we're pushing a boulder up the hill. We're probably near the top. The hard bit's being done. Doesn't mean there's not hard work to do, but the boulder will go down the other side and it'll gather speed. What we've got to do, as a sergeant used to say to me in the army, if you slow down, you'll speed up. So basically, we just get organised, keep on top of it, don't bite off more than we can chew. And definitely don't make promises you can't keep, because that's the quickest way to get found out. But our ultimate aim is to change the culture of business membership groups in this country, predominantly networking, but that's not the whole show. But they're called networking groups, but ours is so much more than that. Networking's probably about a quarter to a third of what we do. In which case, people say, oh, it's another networking group. It is, but it isn't. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to say to people is, if we can change the culture for 5,000 people, in the end, the other 5 million SMEs will be screaming at their own groups, why can't you do this? Why can't you do this for £100 a month for 6 months? And then there's another point. People have said to me, when you get to London, you charge £100 a month, they'll think there's something wrong with it. It's too cheap. I said, well, one thing I've learned from watching the founder and from listening to Daniel Priestley and other great entrepreneurs is, does the Happy Meal at McDonald's, currency exchange aside, does it cost any different in Bradford, Tokyo, or New York? And the answer is no. Why? Because it's a set meal at a set price, and everybody knows what they're going to get and what they're going to pay, and they're comfortable with it. And that's why it's just in 2025 past its 50,000th outlet. That says everything. And look at all the good they do with the foundation, which is what we want to do with the academy that Phil Pugh's setting up. But that's a separate company. So we'll have BMUK, which is Manchester, North East and Leeds, which is ours. We'll have the franchise company, and we'll have the academy company, and the 3 separate entities, but they all collaborate with each other. So that's the growth strategy. So if you said to me, when are we coming to Norwich? I don't know. In some ways, it's up to the businesses of Norwich. I'm also got to be careful. It's all right getting franchisees who've got a pot of money, but unless they've got the right ethics and the right heart, if they start to say to me, well, I want to buy one in Glasgow, one in Bristol, and one in Belfast, and one in London, I'll think, you're not interested in the people. You're just interested in making a quick buck off something that's the next big thing. So we've already got a constraint, and we've been advised to have a constraint on who buys which franchises where and how many. And we need to test them before they get too many, because we don't want to turn it into the such and such a show. It's our show, and we're determined to change things for SMEs and make it better for them. But you know what they really want? What they want is what they think they can't have. They wouldn't dare ask a business membership group or networking group, can you guarantee us opportunities? Because they know the answer's no. They say, don't be silly. That can't be done. We'll see. It's not easy, though. Found this in the army. There's maybe one day a week where you have self-doubt and think, can we do this? Are we doing the right thing? Have we bitten off more than we can chew? But then when you've got a partner like Phil who's rode the Atlantic, he was out there 70 days. On his 29th day, he couldn't think, oh, I'm having doubts, I think I'll go home. You can't, which I found in the army, you can't go home. You're stuck. You're in a contract and you've got to fulfill it. But what we don't want is people feeling they're tied into a membership group for 12 months, who get them on board with a load of razzmatazz, ignore them for 10 months, then begin to quote them again to make sure they pay a renewal, and then ignore them again. People aren't stupid. People know that you're not really bothered about them. You just want the money. I'm not saying we are evangelical, but we've been there. The book I'm in the middle of writing now, the opening paragraph is based in the bankruptcy court with my favourite judge. Lovely lady. And she's getting a copy of the book when it's done. It's called Networking Working. In which case, what a way to start a book in a bankruptcy court. But people seem to feel that if you've been bankrupt, you've somehow got a badge of experience. But I can tell you it's not pleasant. I wanted to hide away for a while. So that was my down moment. This is my up moment. But I've waited a long time to do this. And if Phil Pugh hadn't come along, invested and digitalised it, just wouldn't have happened.
Fantastic. Well, we've definitely got some exciting episodes still to come. And of course, depending on when you're listening to this, perhaps we're already in your city. As always, Paul, thank you so much for your time.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me.
If today's episode gave you fresh insight, a practical takeaway, or simply something to think about, hit follow, leave us a rating or review, and share the episode with someone else navigating the same landscape. Networking Working is powered by Business Matching UK, a movement changing the way businesses connect, collaborate, and grow. If you're ready to take a more strategic, supported approach to your business development, one that's built on strategy, not chance, then BMUK is what you didn't know you needed. Visit www.business-matching.co.uk to explore more and register your interest.
The information in this podcast is for general guidance and entertainment purposes only. The Networking Working podcast shares ideas and experiences to inspire and inform, and we believe they can be valuable, but they may only reflect part of your own business journey. We always recommend seeking independent advice and using your own judgment to decide what's right for your business. We encourage you to do your own research before making any decisions. The opinions in this episode are our own and those of our guests, and we do our best to ensure the content is accurate and relevant at the time of recording. If you have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, you can reach us at info@business-matching.co.uk. Thank you for listening.